We start in Venezuela, where President Nicolas Maduro said a supermarket looting incident was planned. A supermarket worker died during the violence of a gunshot wound on the chest, local media reported. This incident comes as Venezuela is facing shortage of key goods, with the government arguing that business sectors are causing the shortage in order to delegitimize the government and to make large profits.
Today we had an incident in Bolivar State in San Felix. Unfortunately, I have been informed by the governor and all investigative bodies that this was a planned act. There have been 60 arrests. This viciously killed a worker, a boy. We have been following events such as this one that had been planned in other states, but through the OLP, Liberation and Protection of the People operation, and with thousands of other Venezuelans, we have been able to prevent the right wing from doing what they want with the country: violence.
Protests in Honduras continued for the 10th Friday in a row, with demonstrators marching to the Supreme Court demanding transparency in the corruption trials of government officials. The protests follow a $200 million corruption scandal surrounding the Honduran Institute of Social Security, in which private companies and government officials allegedly made huge profits by overcharging for services. The protesters are also angered by reports that some of those standing trial have been able to pay huge sums of money to remain free. For more than 2 months, they have demanded the installation of the International Commission Against Impunity and Corruption in Honduras and the resignation and imprisonment of President Hernandez.
Seguro Social Patrimonio Nacional!
Across the Mexican Republic, thousands of health and state workers, as well as retirees, protest a new reform to the public health sector that they fear will ultimately dismantle the Mexican Institute of Social Security and its services.
President Peña Nieto project of privatization aims at making the state's social security institutions disappear. According to him, he's going to make one universal institute, but in reality, the reform is going to cut out benefits and will cut out pensions in half.
Experts say the so-called universal health system, which the Peña Nieto government plans to implement, claiming it will unify all public health institutions, will actually reduce public health insurance coverage and increase once non-existent costs.
A universal health system is marvelous, but what they are proposing is a universal system that is actually a reduction in benefits and coverage for the majority. So it's not universal.
Meanwhile, back on the streets, nurses and health workers say the problems go beyond privatization to an attack on their labor rights, as well as a divestment in institutions, eroding their labor conditions. They say the administration are only politicians, economists, and technocrats.
Those who should administer the health sector institutions are health workers, health professionals that are from the same clinics and institutions, because they know what the needs of the health workers are as well as the patients.
Others say that these shifts in the public health system are no surprise, pointing to the current administration's wave of neoliberal reforms, such as privatizing the energy and education sectors.
This president is bringing out reforms such as the petroleum reform, and how has that helped us? Or now with the teachers in education, and how has that benefited us? The only thing that they are doing is ransacking the country, and if we continue to remain asleep, who knows when they will stop?
With Mexico being one of the countries in Latin America with the lowest wages, many of these protesting citizens say that the privatization of health insurance and the public health system as a whole will mean inaccessible coverage and a virtual death sentence. Clayton Cantalasur, Mexico City.
In April of this year, paramedics were able to save Ursula after she attempted suicide through consuming a great number of pills. She had also become dependent on drugs and alcohol after she was physically and emotionally abused by her partner.
He put himself on top of me and started beating me. He was wearing a ring I had given him, and it was very thick and left marks on me. I thought at the moment that I was going to die.
The National Institute of Statistics and Information shows that 37% of Peruvian women have been victims of domestic violence, and recent studies estimate that 70% of those end up depressed and dependent on drugs or alcohol. Specialists also claim that many start with sleeping pills or alcohol and then move to stronger drugs.
They start secretly drinking alcohol and the family or children do not notice. They start drinking alcohol, taking medicine, going out without being concerned about taking care of themselves or their family.
A few women who experience domestic violence are able to get support at Vida Mujer, an organization that provides a safe space, therapy sessions, and empowerment workshops for people like Ursula. This nonprofit has been able to free women from dependency on drugs and alcohol, but also from the cycle of domestic violence. However, the majority of Peruvian women are currently left to deal with their tragic situation without that type of support. Rael Mora, Telesur, Peru.
More than 260 Kurdish fighters with Kurdistan Workers' Party, known as PKK, have been killed so far, a week after Ankara launched an offensive against the group inside Turkey and the northern Iraq. The figures were reported by the state's official news agency Anadolu Agency, without revealing sources for the numbers. The agency said that among the wounded was Nurettin Demirtas, a member of the PKK and the brother of the head of the Turkish pro-Kurdish People's Democratic Party, HDP. Tens of thousands of stateless people celebrated the swapping of land between India and Bangladesh in West Bengal state, Mashaldanga enclave, just after midnight Saturday. After decades of living on the vaguely defined borders, almost 50,000 people got to choose their nationality, as both countries swapped 162 small pockets of land, 111 in Bangladesh and 51 in India. Around 37,000 people opted for Bangladeshi citizenship and 50,000 chose Indian nationality. In 1974, an agreement was established by Bangladesh to exchange enclaves, which was only ratified in May 2015 when Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Dhaka. And we end today's show in the Philippines, where over 300 women launched World Breastfeeding Week on Saturday by participating in a mass breastfeeding event. The women aim to promote breastfeeding and give support and guidance to mothers. Breastfeeding has been found to benefit a baby's health and development and provides necessary nutrients and vitamins infants need to grow in their first 6 months, according to UNICEF. This year's theme is Women and Work, Let's Make It Work, UNICEF said. World Breastfeeding Week is a global initiative running from August 1st to August 7th.
Facts that have marked the course of history. Productions designed in the English language and made for the English-speaking world. This is Documentary. Watch it on telesur.net/English. Telesur, wherever the news, you'll be there.